Have you ever felt like maybe there was a best stretch or exercise for you based on your alignment and your posture? Well, we all have different muscular imbalances, and how we respond to certain stretches or exercises, or which stretches or exercises might be best for us, are going to be individualized based on our muscular imbalances. And in this video, what I'm going to talk about are the different extremes of the pelvis and how they can tilt too far forward or they can tilt too far backwards here. Call that like the old man butt there. And I'm going to talk about the muscular imbalances, how we could improve upon those muscular imbalances with stretches and exercises, and the consequences of having that type of muscular imbalance. A lot of therapists call the extremes of these either where the pelvis comes too far forward, they call that extreme an anterior pelvic tilt. I like what Diane Lee calls them, famous physical therapist, is a back gripper. They grip too much with that low back there. And the therapists will call it, when the pelvis comes too far this way here, they'll call that a posterior pelvic tilt. It leads to more of a flat back. And Diane Lee calls these people butt grippers. They grip too much with their butts and they're coming up in through here. So the consequences of each of these muscular imbalances, if the pelvis comes too far forward here, what we call the back gripper or that anterior pelvic tilt, some therapists call this a lower crossed syndrome because the muscular imbalance kind of makes this cross pattern where when they're here, they're usually too weak in their stomach muscles. If the stomach muscles were stronger, it would help pull that pelvis back up. And they're usually too weak in their glute muscles. Back in here, the glutes or maybe even the hamstrings. Because if these muscles were stronger, it would pull the pelvis down this way here. So we've got what we call the butts and guts, could use a little bit of strengthening to help pull that back up this way here. The tightness for this particular posture type here is usually in the front of the hips. Some people say the hip flexors right in through here. So when these muscles are too tight, they pull the pelvis down this way and they cause that anterior pelvic tilt and they grip with the back. We had said that they call these back grippers. So they're tight here and they're tight here. They pull us this way. And they're weak here and here. And if these muscles were stronger, they would pull us back up that way. So what we want to do for that posture type is to strengthen the butts and the guts. We want to strengthen the glutes and we want to strengthen the stomach muscles to help pull this here. And we want to do some stretching for our hip flexors and then maybe even for those low back muscles in there. So the other posture type, the posture type where they are too far this way, the old man butt. Again, now on this one here, they're gripping with their butt. So usually in the backs of their hips, maybe even in their hamstrings, they might be really tight back in through here. And they're usually too tight in their stomach muscles. They might actually need to stretch their stomach muscles. They grip in through here and through here for a particular posture. And then, as you could imagine, it's almost the reverse of the anterior pelvic tilt, where they might have a little bit of weakness in some of their hip flexors. The hip flexors could be strengthened, and a lot of times they need their low back muscles strengthened in there as well. The consequences of each of these with the anterior pelvic tilt, the consequences of this is that it will stress the small joints on the back of the spine here. As they're crossed like this here, this is an extreme, this is very extreme, but as they're like this here, these small joints in the back of the spine, they're called the facet joints or the facet joints right here. Those are going to get stressed more, and it makes the space where the nerves come through smaller. The consequences of the posterior pelvic tilt or the butt grippers, they grip in here, and so their pelvis comes this way here. They've got more of a flat spine most of the time here, and they lose their ability to have good shock absorption in here, or I should say, most of the forces when they do their daily activities comes right through the spine, and they are sometimes more prone to get disc injuries because of that in there. So for the anterior pelvic tilt, they're going to stress the back of the spine, the small joints, and for the posterior pelvic tilt, maybe more forces through the discs. Not always. There are a lot of other factors at play, but it's a factor in that. If you want to learn the stretches and the exercises for this, check out the next video on best stretches and exercises for anterior pelvic tilt and posterior pelvic tilt. And if you like the video, give it the thumbs up. If you do not like the video, leave me a comment. Let me know what I could improve on.